How are you?
I am very good and very excited. How are you?
I'm equally, if not more excited, because you have been my champion in getting this project, this baby on board. And I'm excited to really talk to you from the lens of impact,
Mm,
right? And this love letter is coming to life because of you.
that's
So thank
beautiful.
you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you having you here today. For those of you who don't know Tulu, you need to have Tulu in your life. He's not only a champion for growth, but he's an amazing human with a generous spirit. He was a stranger a few months ago, and now is my brother from another mother and another continent.
Yeah,
I so appreciate you, Tolu, and everything you do for us.
it's an honor and a pleasure, and I love seeing what you're doing, seeing your voice grow and expand. So I'm absolutely here for it.
Thank you. And I do want to start with I'm Miss CQ, you are Mr. EQ,
Yeah,
right? You champion growth through
yeah,
emotional intelligence, and that's how our conversation led to this powerful friendship
mm,
because you champion EQ and you use it a lot in your work and coaching others and in your consulting practice. Whereas I have used, focused around CQ and how that can be powerful.
mm.
And so, coming from that lens, you at some point in your life made an incredible bold choice to do what you do today. What was that moment in your life?
I think it might. I think for me, it might come down to probably two moments. So one of them was I chose to do an international business degree. So kind of, and it's funny because actually CQ, without me really knowing that that was a thing, that was a big part of the decision I made in terms of going to university. And I chose my degree because I got to do a year abroad. So the first one was kind of choosing my degree and choosing that I wanted a degree that focused on managing across cultures and across different types of organizations. But then the other one was actually going to America and doing my year abroad. And that probably changed me in so many different ways.
That's beautiful. That's something that I really admired you about you was that here you are um, living cultural intelligence without understanding what it was, which
Yeah.
I talk about in the book, is highlighting different people who are living cultural intelligence. So you chose this program that gave you the opportunity to study in the United States.
Mm.
And so, how was that? How did that lead to the impact you are creating today?
So I think I learned a lot about how to adapt. So I'm originally from Nigeria. I was born in Nigeria, moved to England when I was two. So in some ways, I already had a bit of experience of being part of a different culture, but not as a conscious adult, right? When I moved to America, I was 19 years old, maybe 20 years old. And at that point, that's quite formative in terms of who I'm going to be as an adult. So I had to learn how to adapt to a new culture, make friends in a new way, and also even just like what really stood out for me was the basketball and understanding like how to work hard, because in England like we think we know about hard work, but it wasn't until I actually got to America and I stepped on that practice court and they were like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and I was just like a deer in headlights. Like I had no idea. And like in England people say to you, oh, you're going to go to the NBA, and I that's when I realized like I'm not going to the NBA. Hard work is a different beast in the States to what it is in the UK. And it was just a massive like
Mm.
cultural clash for me. And I loved it. I really enjoyed the challenge.
That's interesting how you would think in general that hard work is something that is viewed and revered across every culture. So
Mm.
the fact that you highlighted this difference in two countries or two cultures that are seemingly similar, right? They're both
Yeah.
individualistic, they both value achievement, but yet
Yeah.
you saw a complete contrast behind what hard work looks like.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was kind of like a baptism by fire, where I thought it was going to be a certain way. And when I was coming, the coach, he said, look, we're going to work you like you've never worked before. And I was like, well, I've played to a good level. I've tried out for Great Britain. I know what hard work is. And I was like, I didn't. I just I just did it. Like people were throwing up, people were crying, like it was really, really intense. But coming back to the UK, I was a different person. From a basketball perspective, I was totally different.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a totally different person.
Mm. What was different about you?
I had an insight into what it really takes to be part of the best. And I didn't have that when I went to the States. So when I came back to the UK, I trained different. I approached basketball differently. You know, even when I played semi professionally, I wasn't that talented, but I worked very hard. And that kept me in places I probably shouldn't have been, to be very honest with you, because my
Mm.
basketball, I was not that good at basketball, but I will work hard and I will try and bring the team together. And that makes space
Hmm.
for you where you shouldn't actually be based on your competency or your talent.
That is beautiful. Talk about the power of team and teamwork actually, because you mentioned hard work, but team building,
Yeah.
now that's a different story. There is power in numbers.
100%. And it's this, like, you know, we talk about the cliches of synergy and, you know, the sum is greater than the parts, but we talk about that because it's actually a reality. If you can build a strong team, if you can get everybody pulling together, you get way more out of the team than you would of those individuals. There's something just like built into this world that when people can work together, the unity that comes and the results that come from that kind of all pulling together in the same direction, it's amazing. And you see it even with like horses. Like there's a certain type of horse where, you know, one of them can pull, let's say 4,000 tons, the other one can pull another 4,000, but together they can pull 10 or 12. It's just because they're together, they're
Mm.
competing, they're pushing at the same time, and it brings you more than if you just had them doing it separately. So I think if you can make people around you better, make people around you work hard, you know, be valued, appreciated, it makes a massive difference to the team.
It does, but I see that in your story. What I hear actually, there's something deeper in your story, and you knew early on what you valued even before articulating it, right? Because you had this intention
Mm,
and you came to the States, but you experienced something different. And so intuitively, you noticed that there was a disconnect between what you aspire to do
yeah.
and what your values are.
Mm.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Oh, and do you know what? When you put it that way, I think that that's something that so many people face. Is that I think it's like a
Mm.
dissonance between, you know, your expectations, what you think you need to do, and what you actually have to do. So even when I think about, you know, people that want to be successful, we don't really understand what it means and what it takes to be successful. You know, we see, you know, like a LeBron James or like someone like that, and we think, oh, you know, is it really that different? Or like we see a super rich person, we think, oh, I could maybe do that. But it's not until you see like this is what these people actually do. These are the sacrifices that these people make. Am I willing to do the same thing?
Mm.
Is that is that really the smoke that I
Mm.
want? Because sometimes you don't really want to pay the cost that they paid to get to where they got to.
I mean, mic drop. No, it seems so easy. It seems so easy. You see the pictures,
Mm,
but
mm,
there's a great term for that, and it's the black swan effect, right? You see it
mm,
gliding through the
mm,
water, but you
mm.
don't see all the
Underneath,
pedaling that's going on underneath.
yeah. And you know what?
And
It
you
reminds
highlight
me.
this perfectly.
It reminds me of your book, right? So like your book is now
Mm.
out in public, but people don't know the years that you put into that book. They don't know the journey that you went through, the kind of the breaking to build that you went through to actually bring this book into being. So now it's on LinkedIn and it's everywhere and things are happening, but people don't know what you went through for that moment.
Great point, my friend. And I don't want to take attention from you because that'll be a whole separate session. But you're right. A lot of people don't know the nuances behind the sacrifices
Yeah.
that had to be made, the vulnerability behind it, right? Um, and I mean, you know a lot about sacrifices. Here you are, a Nigerian immigrant in England who's thriving and has all these experiences, collectively building your lived experience, and you chose to use that as a catalyst for growth in others. Talk to me about that trajectory.
So something that I realized this year is that I've been so blessed and so fortunate with the leaders that I've had throughout my career. So even like basketball
Mm,
coaches that I've had all through my life, I've been surrounded by excellent people who try to make people better. And that's not something that I could have planned. That's not something that I could have designed for myself. I know that I've been very privileged to have that. So for me, it's just so important that I can pass on that privilege to other people and create a space where they can
mm.
go to find those excellent people, those people that are going to challenge you and push you and help you to be better. Because that's what I've had. And that's really really helped me to progress in my career and just in my life. So I would love to be able to
Mm.
create that space for other people.
Talk to me about how you create that space for others.
And I think in the age that we live in right now, where we've never actually met in person, but we can have a great conversation together, and we can film it and put it online for other people, and that's where I think it's just about exposure and about being present and opening yourself up, because it's not actually easy to open yourself up like this. I think that this is another struggle that people don't see. The struggle of actually you
Mm.
coming to this conversation, me coming to this conversation, it costs us something. you know we have our stuff to get over, like, am I good enough? Do people actually care what I have to say? Am I saying it the right way? We have to cross that barrier to create this space for other people. So it is, in that sense, it is a sacrifice, and it's not something that doesn't take time. It takes time as well to commit to. Every week I'm going to release an episode. Every week I'm going to edit an episode.
Mm.
But that's the price that you have to pay for people coming to you after and saying, hey, this changed my perspective. Hey, this helped me reconcile with my dad. Hey, this helped me to do whatever it is. That impact, it's all worth it. It's all worth it.
I mean, it is worth it. We've never met in person.
No.
And the friendship that technology helped us build. This
Yeah,
is the power of the LinkedIn community, right?
exactly.
That's how we met.
Exactly.
And I will forever be grateful for technology like this because
Me too.
it wouldn't be possible otherwise.
Mm.
And sometimes you don't know who needs to hear your message in that moment.
That
And
is
so
exactly it.
technology technology is facilitating that, right? And I love how you are using cultural intelligence, even though you're the EQ guy.
Yeah.
But you've learned about cultural intelligence before it was even a researched framework.
Mm.
You're describing the essence of what cultural intelligence is.
Mm.
You navigated to new territory and back.
Mm.
You realize some gaps that you yourself had to tackle along the way, but it didn't deter you
Mm.
from paving the way forward the way a lot of leaders did so for you.
Mm.
And it does bring up a question for me that I see today is a lot of young leaders entering the workforce and entering management roles themselves don't have the leader that we had in our past.
Mm.
They don't have that leader to show them the way and cultivate their leadership abilities in the way we had
Mm.
in our past.
Mm.
So, what would your suggestion be uh, to those individuals who are in that situation?
I think that something that is great about the time that we live in now is that you can be mentored by someone that you've never met. Right. So before, you'd have to be in the room with someone, having lunch, having dinner. You'd have to be kind of working with them. Now I can be mentored by like Stephen Bartlett if I want to. I can be mentored by Elon Musk, like all these different people, whoever it is that you want to be mentored by. There is enough content out there that you can actually be mentored by that person and they don't even know you exist. So for me, it's just about find your tribe of mentors, people who you can watch from a distance if you need to and learn from them. But then I'm a little bit old school. So I love reaching out to people, dropping them an email, dropping them a message, comment on their LinkedIn post, whatever it is, but get to have some actual contact with people as well, and you never know where it's going to go. So for me, it's kind of that mix of use the digital tools that we have available, binge people's content, really get into their mindset, but also reach out to some people, get to know some people in real life, even if it's virtually. And that will, honestly, it will change your perspective. It will absolutely change your perspective.
So the essence behind what I hear from you is you have to choose it. You have to
100%.
make a choice, make a
100%.
bold choice to reach out
Yeah.
and use technology in order to get that leadership development mentorship. You are so brilliant, Tolu. Tell everyone, where can they learn more about you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, and we can put the link in the show notes. And also my podcast is called Dunamis EQ, and we can also put a link to that in the show notes. But yeah, LinkedIn and YouTube is where you will find me.
Thank you, Tolu, and I appreciate your time and your kindness, your friendship. I am forever grateful for you, and thank you, everyone, for listening today.
Thank you so much.